So it looks like that's the platform that you stand on to take photos through that. That's what you reckon?
Well, that's what somebody said. They try and get the sunset with the sun in the circle of the guitar.
It makes sense. We might try and come out here tonight to confirm that.
With every other man and his dog?
With every other man and his dog. So this is Sunday. I don't know what the date is. Anyway, the concert of Mundi Mundi Bash finished yesterday. Today's a Sunday when most people tend to leave, although there's still an awful lot of people here. This is a bit different to Big Red Bash, where a lot of people just clear out on this day. That hasn't really happened here, which of course is the ideal intro to a video about the differences in our experience between Big Red Bash and Mundi Mundi Bash. And that's the main difference. That's the end of the video. See ya. So, a bit of context. We've done Big Red Bash the last 2 years, and we did that as part of a group. So the first year was a group of 4 vehicles, and the second year was 7 or 8. A bigger group anyway, whereas this trip to Mundi Mundi we've done on our own. So there's possibly, I guess, a key difference in terms of our experiences between the two. When you're in a group, you know, you kind of form a little corral around your fireplace in the middle there, and you're probably less inclined to meet your neighbours so much, whereas when you come on your own, you are more inclined to meet your neighbours. So in terms of the context from our experience, that's probably something to set up from the outset, is that our previous trips to Big Red have been part of a group. This one we were just flying solo effectively, and so that's, you know, coloured things a little bit possibly. But the first thing that, well, you really noticed it, is the bump in.
Yeah. So I mean, we got the 3-day early pass, and previously, even with the early pass, you still have a bit of a lineup while everybody else in front of you is shuffling in and reversing and doing their thing. But I think if we spent 10 minutes waiting for others around us to get themselves organised, it would have been a long time.
We didn't really have much of a queue at all. Hey, we got in pretty quickly. If it was 10 minutes, that would have been all it was.
Yeah.
And that was the 3-day early pass, and we got here because we did a few errands in Broken Hill before we came out. So it would have been early afternoon, I reckon, just after lunch, 1 o'clock maybe. And the bump in was really smooth, like there was no waiting or queues or anything really to speak of. So that's the first thing.
Yeah. A few flies out today.
A few flies out today. So the ground is quite different too. I wouldn't say it's dust free, but it's way less dusty than Birdsville.
Yeah, that's true.
And the ground is much firmer. The first year we went to Birdsville, we took one of the trolleys to get all our stuff down to the stage area, and decided that was a waste of time because it's hard work pulling the trolleys through the sand. Whereas here, the ground is quite firm, so pulling a trolley to the concert area here does make a lot more sense.
Yeah. The only issue though is, like, on the path it's great, but once you sort of go towards campsites and that sort of thing, there's a lot of
if you look over to the side there, it's
it hasn't been graded or anything. There's a lot of tufts of grass, so at stupid o'clock at night when you're walking around in the dark, bit dangerous.
Just got to watch your footing and make sure you don't trip over the little bits of grass and the burrs too. Yeah,
the burrs are worse here. Because
if you came here with a long-haired dog, you'd kind of be constantly battling burrs, I reckon.
True. So at Birdsville, it was a case of collect everything and take it home with you. However, these guys, being closer to Broken Hill, have the facilities to actually recycle cardboard, and they give you an option to drop off some of your rubbish here.
Well, you get a sticker when you get in that you whack to your rubbish bag, and there's a collection point there, so you can basically get rid of 80-litre rubbish bag here before you leave at the end of the week. Whereas at the Big Red Bash, you're taking everything away with you.
So that just makes packing up that tiny bit easier because you don't have to worry about leaking stuff.
And speaking about leaking stuff too, you don't have to, like again at the Big Red Bash, You've got places to take your grey water. Let's walk around this way. Places to take your grey water to empty it, you know, specific designated places, whereas here, because it's not organic certified area, you basically just drop it anywhere on your campsite that you need to. The rules are as long as it's not going to run off into somebody else's campsite or onto the paths or roads. So a lot of people are just digging small holes near their vans where the outlet was, and just the grey water's just running into those. Alright, so one thing that struck us basically as soon as we got here is how big Mundi Mundi Bash is compared to Birdsville, to the Big Red Bash. It's probably hard to tell with this lens because it's quite a wide angle lens, but the main concert area is much bigger. When you're at the back of the concert area, you're a fair distance from the stage. But I suppose more people also means a lot more vendors as well. And we're here on today's Sunday. So the concert finished yesterday, so today's the day where most people tend to be packing up and leaving, including a lot of the vendors. So there's a few empty spaces now, but they started from there and went all the way back and right around the side there. Not just food vendors, but other vendors just selling bits and pieces. There just seemed to be a lot more of them.
Like they had a tourism for Broken Hill site. They had a lot of arts and crafts.
Yeah, local artists and that sort of thing. Just there was a lot more vendors, food and other bits and pieces around the main concert area. But that was the thing that struck us. It's just how much bigger it is.
Yeah. The one thing that I did notice, and I don't remember Big Red having this problem, but there certainly wasn't enough seating. The seating you can see here now is exactly the amount of seating that was available.
I can't remember. There was more seating at Big Red.
That's what I'm saying. I can't remember. But I suppose because it's a bigger area, the tables are more spread out.
More noticeable.
It's more noticeable.
Yeah. I suppose they're relying on most people grabbing their stuff from a food vendor and then heading down to the concert area where you've got your own chairs. Is probably what they're relying on most of the time. So do you prefer bigger or smaller?
I think smaller.
I would never describe the Big Red Bash as cosy, but it was possibly cozier. I mean, there was like I didn't catch the official crowd numbers, but everybody keeps saying about 14,000 people here. So that's quite a few people.
It's a good turnout.
Yeah.
I think they said this is the biggest one so far.
I think it would be. And considering there's so many other festivals in the country that are struggling at the moment, like to get 14,000 here is that's a fair effort. That's a fair effort.
They've done well.
The other thing that we noticed too, just talking about the size still, is when you walk to the back of the camping area, it's quite a walk.
It's huge.
if you arrived on if you only got the 1 day early entry in or arrived on the morning of the concert itself, and many people did, you're quite a ways back from the stage. The distance between the stage area and then the back of the venue itself is much more pronounced.
Which is why I'm glad we did get the 3 day early.
Yeah.
Otherwise we would have been walking for days.
So we got the 3 day early pass, and we ended up in block 3. So I think they call the vendors block 0, and then you've got the roadway, and then block 1, roadway, block 2, roadway, block 3. So that's where we were. And that was with the 3 day early entry.
And even though we were so close to the stage, we still racked up more than 10,000 steps a day.
Oh yeah, that wasn't just to and from camp.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, imagine if you had to do that trek as well.
Yeah. So getting here early is definitely going to save some additional steps. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Another very noticeable thing, of course, is at the Mundi Mundi Bash, there's no big red sand dune behind the stage. So especially off to the left of stage, you're sitting in the crowd, it's just open plains really. There are some hills around to the right of stage though, and you can see, hopefully, the wind turbines behind them. So you're a fan of those?
Well, just watching
See
them
what I did there? You're a fan of those? That was a pretty good one, come on.
Yeah, well,
They were kind of hypnotic. Are they turning at the moment?
very slowly.
Yeah, they're not really turning at the moment. So during the week, there's been times where they've been still and there's been times where they're turning, obviously depending on how windy it is. But when they are turning, it's almost kind of hypnotic to just sit there and watch them while you're listening to the stage, I guess.
Yes.
So that's a key difference. And the other thing is you can't run up that hill and look down over the venue at all either, which of course you can do at Big Red, and many people do.
It looks as if somebody's actually turned up the path there.
Yeah, and there's a pathway up there too. We're facing away from the camera now, so you probably won't have heard that. There's a couple of like roadways or tracks or pathways up there, but I haven't seen anybody walking up them. And to be fair,
They're far away.
like that's a fair distance as well. So yeah, you know, the opportunity to walk up there and look back down over the venue isn't really a thing here. We're obviously in a Big Red. It definitely is, and many people do. Get that bird's eye view of the venue, which is nice.
So we just have to rely on the drone shots that they show us from time to time.
Yes, and they have looked pretty good as well. It's amazing how quickly they pack up a stage, eh?
Mostly gone
Like
already.
that'll be gone by this afternoon. What's the bet? One thing that's really similar between the two is just the general vibe and friendliness of people and the mood of the people here.
Yeah, everybody's happy. And
Neighbours and other randoms. You just walking up the road here just now. Ended up walking at the same pace as some other random, and you just start chatting, and everybody's in a pretty good zone. And that kind of mood and vibe was pretty similar between both of them.
yeah,
Not really any kind of difference there at all. So I mean, let's face it, it's effectively the same event, just in two different locations.
and you get the same sort of crowd. Just depends how far people want to travel.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a few more empty spots up here than
There
on our
are.
way.
It was a bit funny, like the previous couple of Big Red Bashes that we've done on the bump out morning. Which road are we on now? Half of these signs are missing. I think we need to go another block. 35, yeah, it's between 5 and 4. Okay, so we've got another block to walk. What was I about to say?
Oh, you hadn't said it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We were talking about depending how far you want to travel. One thing that's been really nice about coming to Mundi Mundi for us is just some of the new roads we've been able to travel. Coming down, we came straight down through Toowoomba, Canungra, through Nimbin, down to Dorrigo, and then drove along the waterfall way heading west to eventually find our way to Broken Hill. That was a really nice drive.
It's beautiful.
Like we saw some really amazing scenery. It was very good to travel some different roads. Going home a different way up through Burke, thank you. Up through Burke, crossing the border at Hebel or Hebel. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm going to say Hebel. Then through St George and Roma and home that way. So I guess we've kind of done a big triangle on this trip, but it's just been really nice to travel some different roads. What's been your favourite sort of town or stop or stretch?
Little dot called Urella.
Urella was a nice little town, yes.
The pie shop there, the pie mechanic.
The pie mechanic at Urella.
Yep.
Who told us we had to visit that place? It was old mate at that hip camp.
Toowoomba.
No, it was
Not Toowoomba. I keep
the
saying
one,
Toowoomba.
Bungabee Springs. Oh, I can't remember his name. Was it Dane? No, it wasn't Dane.
No, it was.
Sorry, mate, if you're watching this. It was a 4-letter name, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It'll come to us later. Anyway.
Kane.
I was close.
Well, one letter
I
off.
was close.
That's what put me off.
Anyway, he recommended we go to the pie mechanic at Urella. And I've got to say, that was a pretty good recommendation.
And we also popped into a couple of just boutique shops there, and everybody's super friendly.
Urella was just a nice little town, friendly shopkeepers, and it was nice. That was nice.
Unlike the other town where one of the locals jumped out their car and started.
That was Vulcania. So one of the locals, it looks like she got stuck in the quite massive fuel queue at Vulcania, and yeah, she's got out of her car and filming it on her phone, yelling out a few expletives and everybody go home. So she was a bit spicy.
I wish I got a video of it, because she was going off.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand how disruptive it is for a little town when you have like a gazillion caravans come through and queuing up for fuel like that, but
I mean, we parked in front of the school, and the school has the sign out, "Welcome Mundi Mundi Bashes."
Yeah. Anyway, that's just one individual, that happens. You get that everywhere, but obviously, sort of living in Rockhampton, the roads out west of us, we've driven most of those before, and seen most of those before, so it was really nice to travel a different route, and then we've got another different route home.
Yeah. Hopefully some more friendly people.
Yes.
And boutique shops.
Uh-oh. That's one thing that tends to happen in smaller towns, is the techie, gadgety kind of shops that I like to walk through aren't there. But what you do get is a lot of small boutique retailers that aren't selling the same old chain store gear.
Yeah, there's no Kmart stuff and there's no Big W stuff.
But even if you think of any kind of, like you walk through, I know, Stockland's Rockhampton is a bit like this,
franchise.
and I'm sure pretty much every shopping centre will be, is every shop in there is very generically franchised. Like if you go to a different town, that shop is selling the same gear. So it's nice to visit places where there's not those franchises and you find stuff there that you don't get anywhere else.
Exactly.
So the verdict. Which one is better?
I liked going with a group. So that's Birdsville Tech, because I'm not sure we can get them here.
Well,
too far.
The original early plan was for the whole group to come here, but everyone else bailed out. So it's just us.
I think the scenic trip that we took here, definitely much better. I think Birdsville just being that little bit smaller, I preferred that. But then again, being smaller, and the town of Birdsville itself is not able to accommodate as many people, so the shops were out of stock and all that sort of stuff, and they don't really have the infrastructure for it. Whereas Broken Hill, at least you could top up with everything a half hour before you come out.
There's Woolies and everything at Broken Hill.
So
a BWS and the works. So
I'm really, really torn.
I reckon, it's really hard to split them. I think.
Do both. Well, one's in July, one's in August.
You could potentially do both.
So do the July one, and then with the troop of friends, travel the distance.
I'm a bit the same. I really did enjoy the trip down here. We drove, along the waterfall way between Dorrigo and Armidale. It was a really nice drive. Just seeing some different towns. So the drive down was really nice. And
because we were inland so much, it was really windy, interesting roads, lots of different landscapes to look at, that sort of thing.
I think if we could do the drive we did to get to the Big Red Bash,
that's the perfect world.
That's probably the way to do it. Well, there's no reason we can't drive all the way down here and all the way back up.
What, take 6 months to get there?
Yeah, could do. I think it doesn't really, each have their pros and cons. I guess the main difference really, when you take all of the subjectivity out of it, here the ground is much firmer packed, which means less dust. I mean, not no dust, but less dust. But the trade-off is you've got a lot more burrs and tufts of grass to trip over and stuff like that. Whereas at Big Red Bash, I mean, you are basically in the desert, and so it's a lot sandier. It makes carts harder to pull. When the crowd heads back to camp after the concert's finished, there's this cloud of dust follows them, and that didn't really happen here. That wasn't a thing here. Being been a firmer, harder ground.
And the bit of rain that we did have, as much as it pooled in areas, it mostly dried out reasonably quickly.
Rain here had less impact than rain at the Big Red Bash, that's for sure. And it did dry out pretty quick.
So we just need to put it out there. We need more scenic drive to Birdsville, less rain, more people.
Well, see, a lot of people say that the drive to Birdsville, because it is so remote, and I mean, you know, we're half an hour outside of Broken Hill here, and it's not quite so remote really. You've got a decent centre not far away. But because Birdsville is so remote, getting there is sort of half the adventure.
Yes.
And if you haven't driven those roads before, I mean, we're saying we preferred this drive rather than Birdsville, but only because we've driven a lot of those roads so many times anyway. If it was your first time driving them, it would be a different story.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be saying, ooh, windy roads, so much fun. Yeah,
it's not so much fun when you're towing, though. Windy road's a lot more fun in a sports car when you're not towing anything, but you can't have everything, can you? So that's the verdict. Do either, or both.
Do both. That's the verdict.
It's nice to be decisive at the end of these videos, eh?
Oh, I bet everybody was waiting with bated breath. Which one?
Yeah, I don't know if they were. Alrighty, guys, see you in the next one.
See ya.